nice and proper. So I will pose each of these questions, candidates will respond. Once we're done, we'll take 2 or 3 Q&A from the audience. Yeah, do you want to double check the mics work, Ashad? Okay. Nora, does your mic work? Yeah, cool. Why is technology in this hall always fuck up? It's not working? Okay, I'll pass this one on when we're ready. Okay, so the first question we have is, and so Ashad will be responding to this first. KISA has been through a lot of reforms in the previous year, with a new website, a moderately restructured bureaucratic system, and greater responsibilities over KISA 1. While some of these reforms have been very positive, others have drawn criticism for making KISA too formal or too complex. What is your reflections on last year's reforms, and how do you expect to reflect this in your presidency?
Thank you, Nick, for this important question. Since I was part of KISA last semester, there were certain reforms, especially the website, which was an upgrade, because in these days, for promotions and for conducting events successfully, you need a platform, and website is the best platform to reach a mass, to beam your message across the horizon. And that was a really up point. But as far as the bureaucratic system is concerned and the way things are done in KISA, I'm not sure if that's a good thing, because wherever there's bureaucracy, where there's too much formality, there's a lot of red tape, and that brings down the efficiency and efficacy of what you're working. So what my plan is, like I said in my speech, is to go with the flow, and it's like something I picked up in my area. It was something very casual that my friends really called out when we were hanging out, and then I later realized it had an impact on me, like on a serious note. And to go with the flow means like to neglect or to not invest energy on something that is like trivial.
All right, thank you very much. I would first agree to Ashad about the website, and I think that there is still much more room for improvement, and I think for the future we will work on that. But for this year, I believe KISA has done a great job, especially taking into account that we were starting from scratch, basically, in the beginning of last semester, previous semester. And I believe that KISA is becoming more formal is not the disadvantage. It is advantage up to the extent where we can keep it not too formal, right? And so this is the golden middle that we need to find. And that's why, because I believe that if KISA is more formal, things do get done. Especially in this semester, we've learned a lot about the proposals for the events, how they need to be formed, how they need to be submitted. And thank you very much for that, Nick, again. But yeah, and I think that KISA has done a very good job, and we will keep working in this direction, but we will change some things slightly, and this will be even better. Thanks.
I'll start. Well, for the website thing, I definitely agree with both of candidates. In the future, I hope we can probably like upload more interesting contents on our website. And for the bureaucracy, I think it's important to have like a very, not rigid, more like flexible, but very clear structure, so everyone has their job task like clear. So like no one can, for example, you cannot blame anyone because you cannot like just avoid your responsibility if you have already like a clear job task, like a clear status in KISA. I think that's all.
Okay, so for this next question, Nora, you will be responding first, so we'll keep the mic with you.
Okay.
In the nominations for this race, we've seen many be almost completely apathetic. For all my pushing enthusiasm and nerdiness over elections, it was undeniably hard to convince people to run, yourself being a great example of this. And it was much more common to see people considering their membership in KISA as a whole rather than consider their future in the organisation. Do you see volunteer burnout as a significant challenge for KISA? And if so, how do you expect to respond to it during your presidency?
To be honest, I also feel burnout, especially for this 1 month. I'm sorry, and I keep rejecting the Shubra has been convincing me to run. Yeah, but I mean I changed my mind last minute. But that's important actually to keep changing the internal members every 6 months, so everyone can get like at least new position, new job test, so they, they will not get bored and burn out at the end. I think that's kind of my rough solution for the burnout members.
Okay, as far as the burnout problem is concerned, what I believe is delegation and teamwork is the solution for this problem. And how I want to do, if I'm given a chance to lead KISA, I want to conduct things is by delegation. And like in every event, I would like to make one member an event head, he would be the charge. So you're essentially delegating responsibility and authority. So not only the event heads and presidents have authority, but everyone can cherish that leadership position and authority position, having responsibility for that. And that's a way out. And secondly, as far as we need to build confidence in people. It was not due to burnout, volunteer burnout, that people are not showing up or were not volunteering for running for presidency. It was about confidence. And once you build confidence in your team and you let them know that they can lead as well, they have the potential as well, then they will show up, and then they will be more fluent and extempore, and they will be more willing to run and show their leadership potential.
It's hard for me to disagree on anything because I agree on the point that Nora made, that we need to recruit new people every new semester, and that I believe we will do for sure. And then there are also people who come to KISA for experience, like our great exchange student this semester. They actually put so much effort and they done a really good job. And coming to Ashad's point, that we need to convince people that they can be leaders and that they can do that, they're capable of that. Within my division, in the events division, I had people assigned to every certain events as leaders for this group, and most of them have done a really good job. And I believe that if people keep working, keep doing a good job, and keep getting positive or negative feedback based on the case, if they need, they will become better and better. And I believe that burnout can be solved. On the other hand, if a person feels burned out, I think that it is fine to leave KISA. And moreover, Nick, I don't think that it's about the membership in KISA. In most of the cases, it's about the leadership. Thank you.
You can hold on to the mic now, because we'll get you to respond to the next question first. In an article written in the May edition of the KISA Herald, future editor-in-chief Ada Carpenter, who is right there, challenged the country-based focus of ISS's community support programs. Ms. Carpenter contended that ISS's plans segregate the community and reinforce the tendency of international students to spend time only with their nationality. How do you intend to respond to Ms. Carpenter's concerns in your presidency?
Thank you very much, very good question and a very good article. I read it and it was a good article, thanks. I believe that ISS does that and it's their mistake. First of all, we will need to talk to them directly, because if article has been published, it doesn't mean that ISSS will take measures. And KISA is there to do exactly this thing. So we can talk to ISSS first of all. Secondly, KISA ourselves, we organize events for everyone. We never limit it by anything, except for the food festival, but food festival it makes sense because it's about culture. And I do agree that this is ISS's mistake or some error, but they have funds, they have resources to actually change their mind, change their work setup to make the events not for people from the same country, but for everyone. And I believe this is the way we should work in the future, and I will do everything to resolve that problem.
I have some experience back in my country where by playing football I made some international friends, and that was the first time I realized that interacting with other communities you get to learn so much more, and not just limiting yourself to your own community, going out there and experiencing them, it's really, really wonderful. So here, this is a problem, and what needs to be done is we need to come up with such activities which essentially require different communities to interact with each other, be it through sports or other social activities or co-curricular activities. And I have a few of such events in my mind that if I'm given a chance, or even if not, if I'm a part of KISA, I would propose those events to bring together those communities and then enhance harmony among them and resolve this issue of myopia, as I call it, short-sightedness among communities, and that's how I really want to go about it.
I actually mentioned about this problem in my speech. So, respond to Ashad and Din. I do agree with Ashad. I also have a plan to increase the number of events that is open for like international, so they can interact with each other, and probably like for the events itself, we'll try to combine like all different people from different groups instead of people coming from the same groups. And I myself, I can't blame ISSS for giving these like country-based support, because especially if you just came to KISA for the first time, the most convenient thing is just to talk with someone that is coming from the same group. That's it.
Thank you. So just to make sure you guys are aware, we have 2 more questions left, and when we're done, we will run a mic out and you can ask questions for the candidates. So the next one, Nora, you will start. Dean, I'm going to hand this mic to you. You're the second person to respond to this. And so Nora, in your speech, you mentioned the need to focus more on minority communities in KISA. You talked specifically about the changes that it might need to be made to a prayer room for Islamic students. And I think in the same article, or in an article written again for the Herald, there was a mention of a need for more support for Islamic students during Ramadan. Can you think of any other big issues to focus on when you're talking about integrating more minority communities in KISA?
Well, I'm not sure if international students is categorized as minority, but let's just say international students are like minority, like in KISA community. Well, I'm proposing like a rough idea about like for KISA basically to have like an intensive course, like intensive coding course for international students, so they can like cope with the current environment like pretty quickly and easily. And another minority groups, I've heard a lot like as a member, there's been like, a problem with the women's right, I would say. So I'll try to solve on that. I'll try to work on that as well. I still have no idea what the specific case is, but I will find out like more about that.
All right. As for the minority, for the Muslim students, we have tried to do some work this time for the Ramadan. We've talked to public model management to actually extend their working period up to 8 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. Unfortunately, we received some negative feedback, like negative answer, because they didn't want to. They said it was not reasonable for them, and I believe that we can continue working, doing things like this. And if I'm elected as the KISA president, I will make sure that KISA is open for any suggestions of any kind of minorities. Talking about English-speaking people not represented enough within the Korean community, the work is being done. First of all, this week we had a meeting with UA where we've agreed that we will definitely, for GCG, whatever this abbreviation is, they will make sure all lectures are in English if they're claimed to be in English. And yes, we will take notes of any problems of minorities and we'll try to resolve them as fast as we can and as good as we can, as well as we can. Thanks.
Well, my approach to this is slightly different in a way where to start. For me, it's like we don't have conclusive data as to what communities and what's the population size of each community. Like, we don't know from which country how many number of international students do we have. And unless we have that data, we can take any appropriate measures, any commensurate measures to mitigate the issue of minorities. So first, if I'm elected president, what I would like to do is gather some data about the community so that we pinpoint on those communities which have very few international students from those backgrounds, and then integrate them into our program. Like, we can have quotas for them among KISA, we can have events, especially dedicated events for them, and then we can have feedback sessions with them especially, so that they can come and convey their problems, their specific needs that we can cater for, and then we can work with them to cater for those needs. And as far as the English speaking is concerned, I agree with that part with Lean, that we need to work with the UA to mitigate this problem of English in the classroom.
Thank you. Okay, so for the last question, just to be clear, we're going to have Dean, then Nara, then Ashad. So trying to give you all a chance to respond, second, third, and first. So one of the big things that you've all mentioned in your speeches was that KISA had barriers to its potential. There was lots of talk about the potential of KISA, but it's not quite getting there yet. And so the question is, can you propose a specific solution to how you will access this mystic KISA potential in your presidency?
A very good question. I didn't have a chance to extend on that during my speech. So first of all, the constitution of KISA, that needs to be rewritten. We will rewrite that to make everything legislatively formal and correct in KISA. Secondly, I believe we need to have welfare division so that all the welfare problems are addressed by specific people who are responsible for that. Thirdly, I believe that finance division needs to be reformed into finance and logistics so that they are not only for counting the finance budget, but also for purchasing everything and making sure that we have all the facilities needed for the events. And with that being said, I also would like to have all the roles in KISA more formal. So if I am in the events division, for example, I only care about the events and I don't dive too deep into promoting that event, for example, because there is separate PR division. And now, with this strict organization, I believe KISA can reach far more than it has so far.
I think didn't almost cover everything I really want to talk about, but the thing that I really want to change if I become the president is I want to have a vice president, to be honest, to lessen the work the president itself, like, of the moment. I think that's what I can add. Thanks.
For me, I would like to differ slightly from my fellow respected contemporaries, because as far as the constitution of KISA is concerned, that is an internal matter, and that won't mitigate the problem of KISA having an impression or exposure. Because if you go around campus and ask Korean students or international students, many of them, what is KISA, some of them would know, some of them would take guesses, but they won't know that we don't have that presence among the international community that we should. And from my experience, increasing the bureaucracy, like if you make the finance team also responsible for the logistics, then it demotivates them to be part of the finance team because they have like more burden. So instead, my way of doing is just go with the flow. It's like, you are finance team, we are events team, but still we are working in synergy. So when it comes to logistics, guys, we do it together and we divide tasks. And when we try to bring out the best in everybody, be it from somebody from finance, somebody from events, somebody from promotions, social media, we bring out the best. So if somebody can lend a hand in logistics, fine. Somebody can't lend a hand in something, fine. We make a team and then we synergize. That's my approach. And as far as increasing the exposure of KISA, that's by doing some really engaging activities and events, and that's what I'm trying to propose if I'm elected president.
He comes in here. This is what we're doing now. So what we're going to move on to now, can you sit here? Yeah. What we're going to move on to now is the question and answers from the audience. So I'll take the mic running through, and then we'll pass this one between people. So if you have any questions for any of the potential candidates, either about KISA as a whole or specific ones, feel free.
Thank you for the good discussion. So I have a very specific question. Which events exactly do you have in mind?
Do you have a question for me? Okay, so back in my undergrad university, they have, this is basically an academic initiative, and I think for international students, this would be really, this would go a long way. That project was called Project Alif. Alif is as in the first alphabet in Urdu. And let me stand up to make myself more clear in that, right? So in Project Alif, what we essentially do was we asked for senior students to volunteer to help lend support academically to the younger freshmen who weren't able to cope up with their studies and were having difficulties in understanding and researching certain concepts in certain courses. So they would just go up and sign up for certain course services. They would say, I am good at maths, I am good at this course, I am good at that, I can teach this. And we would have a pool of volunteers. And from that pool of volunteers, the freshmen who were having difficulty in their academics, they would just go and they would say, okay, I'm having difficulty in this, I'm having difficulty with that, be it anything academically. And they would have their tutor. And that way, what we saw was before this project, we never had senior students bonding with freshmen or junior students. We never had senior students bonding with sophomores. But then after that project, we saw that many friendships formed across the batches, and that was something really terrific. So that's what I plan to propose. That's among one of the initiatives. And I have like many more of these, like if I didn't have the time constraints.
So the question is about the event that came up in my mind. I already mentioned the RAW idea on my speech. It's about a cultural night where basically international students can perform and then enjoy the cultural performances from lots of like countries. That's it.
For me, unfortunately, I don't have anything certain now. We have the KISA specific events that are there, and we will of course run those. Those are monthly games, choose-up parties, sports festivals, so things will continue. But I don't think if it's an event or more like a measure, but I believe what we need to incentivize is the how-to tips. So there is a blog on the KISA website, and there is a chapter that's called How-to Tips. So if you are, for example, a senior student and you want to give a tip to the freshmen or younger students, you will be free to do that. And I believe there are ways to incentivize that, either financially or somehow. But I think that this thing could be very useful and we could make use of it. And I have to slightly disagree with Ashad because I don't think that is a big problem here that students, like between batches, the communication is not very good. But still, if there are any ideas to incentivize that, I think I can agree on this and help to promote any idea that anyone from the KISA cabinet might have.
Right. Are there any more questions? Yep. One more.
Hello, my name is Timirlan. I'm a third-year student from Kazakhstan, and I hope audience allows me to ask 2 questions. So, first question is, as we all know, KISA has limited resources and time. So, do you think it's KISA's responsibility to make us and help us learn Korean language? Because many candidates say that, like, you will help us to organize some courses or groups. Like, shouldn't we focus more on international community rather than distributing resources small by small on different things?
I believe that it's not the main problem of KISA, but if we see that this is the problem that relates to many people within the community, we will of course take our steps. And no one says that we will actually organize the classes ourselves or find people ourselves. There are many different offices on campus who can do that, and we could ask them for our help. And these are not only offices but also associations and clubs. And most of them are actually willing to cooperate, but students might not know that. And if student association like KISA asks them to help international students, those clubs might help. And that's why I believe we can help the students in even slight problems, but not dedicate ourselves too much into it. So this is my way to overcome that problem.
Sorry, I just need you to repeat the question again for me, please. You good?
So my main point is that, do you think that KISA should focus on many different things, including like allowing us to learn Korean rather than focusing mostly on the international community and the interaction within the community?
I guess we have to find a balance between both because both of these things are important. As far as KISA is concerned, it is KISA's main responsibility is to cater for the needs of international, because it's International Students Association, so all of its resources, or most of its resources and time should be consumed on the betterment of the international community. But for the international community to gel in this Korean culture, we also need to invest something so that the international community, they become at par with the local Koreans in terms of language, in terms of academics, in terms of social activities and engagements. So we have to find a balance between both, and for that we need to synergize and we need to find partners who are willing to help us, and we need to plan on how to find ways so that we can focus to better this international society using the resources of KISA, international students using the resources of KISA, and also to make them at par with the Korean locals here. I hope I answered my question.
Yeah, responding to your question, I believe it's not completely our responsibility to like open the Korean classes or providing the classes, but what I'm trying to do is like probably communicate with the international office or academics team. So probably they will provide like more Korean classes for international students. I think it's like the best or most effective way to solve this problem for international students. Thanks.
And going back and now coming to my second question. So, going back to the question of the host about Anna Carpenter's article, it seemed to me that like all the answers of the candidates were quite abstract because like you didn't give any exact examples of the events that you are going to host. But as you know, like first KISA has like limited resources like financial and in terms of time, and like it's always difficult to engage international students because you usually attract them by the food, right? Like free eat or something like that. So can you give any examples of the events, how you are going to attract the students from different backgrounds?
So, mate, like, I'll let the candidates respond in a sec, but Nara has offered the culture night proposal 4 times so far in this debate, and it is the exact response to your question. She keeps going, I want to bring more international communities, like, get everyone together, so we're going to have a culture night. That is literally the response to your question. So, I mean, I'll let the candidates go, but, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I mixed it.
Yeah, no, you go. Respond. You can respond with other things.
Okay, so, well, probably just to add from what Nick just said. Well, actually, what I've seen from the monthly games that we just held yesterday, yesterday, it went pretty well. Where everyone was enjoying the game, regardless the prize is only like for 3 people. So we'll work to like do the thing more often in the future, and to erase the notion of coming to event because of the food. It's, for me, to be honest, it's hard, but we'll try to make the events more interesting, like the content of the events itself, probably. I can't, like, for now, I can't really tell you, like, the very details of what we are going to do, but we'll improve the events in the future. That's what I can say.
Thank you for your question. Like, because of time constraint, we can really bog down into the details. But for you, for this specific question, I have like some few specifics here. Like first, I explained about the project I did for something similar that can be done to enhance the communication between or for the freshmen, especially who are coping with the grades. And one other thing is we could conduct like a game, like a scavenger hunt on campus, which would include all different international community students who are participating in that. And you know how it goes. Scavenger is a very common and very interesting game. And as for your part question, you said it's difficult to engage people without incentivizing them with food or something to reward. It's because you need to plan beforehand, and you need to see what suits them. Why are they not coming up for the events? It's because they are busy with their studies and stuff. So you need to figure out a way, like you can plan your events symmetrically around the weekends, or when there's a national holiday, you can plan something around that later in the evening or something like that. One other thing that you do is Drama Fest. It's a very terrific idea of like a drama. Different communities from different backgrounds, they come and they present drama. Every community has a different cultural setup, and they have different norms and culture. So they can come and perform dramas, and you can perform musical gig nights across the campus randomly. There's so much more that you can do. All you need to do is sit down, conduct a plan, and let them know. Thank you.
So, what I think of is, for example, the monthly games mentioned by Nora. That's a very good example of where people could learn about others' culture, because I believe that international students don't communicate between the countries. One of the main reasons for that is because they don't know each other's cultures. And to know the culture, things like culture night are very good things, but we could not invest too much and go for simpler things, like, for example, monthly games. Initial idea was that for monthly games, every month we choose a certain country and ask the country rep to provide certain examples of games. Like for example, for us in Kazakhstan, it could be Asagatu. And that's our traditional game, and people could play that because it's easy. And that's how we could learn about each other's culture and communicate more. Moreover, during the events, we could mix the teams, for example, when there are team games, so that people communicate with each other more and get to know each other. And I believe that these are the exact ways to resolve that problem.
I'd like to talk a little bit. Can you give, help these guys out with some ideas from your own? Can you give them some ideas about how, because it's very hard, because the only reason people turn up to these places as a university student, I understand completely because even I have financial constraints and stuff. So if I get a chance to save money, I'll definitely go there. Yeah. So a way is to like create a need that you need to go. You have to buy something. You need a pen, you buy a pen. You need to create that need. For us, probably the reason that people come to these events, it's one of the reasons might be they're interested, or another reason is that they want to save up money because that place is giving us food. So food is one of the biggest incentives that attractions for us to like draw crowds. But I was wondering if you had any other ideas that you could like give us, so that these people can work on that for the next semester.
I think it was the reason why I asked that question, because it also like bothers me. How can we gather all these people? So I can only like give you like an answer, general answers. But what was interesting for me from the candidates' answers is like some art performances or maybe some sports games.
Alright, so just how many questions do we have left? You can raise your hands. So speaking of food, I'm hungry. Okay, this is all the questions we're going to take. That's alright. This is all the questions we're going to take, and then we'll get to voting. Let's start with Ashad this time. Do you want to start with Mike?
Hello everyone, my name is Kunduz, and so my question is how would you improve the facilities for KISA members, and maybe you could add any benefits to become member, since back 2 years ago, like there was not so much people who was interested in getting to KISA, but nowadays like it's growing. People who want to get into KISA. So like how would you attract students to become member of your?
I agree, but thank you so much for your question. It is very interesting. First of all, these student societies, they basically work on quality work, and it's very difficult incentivizing them otherwise, because we are not getting a funded salary or something like that for the work we do in KISA. So essentially what means is there are some students among us who are very passionate to showcase their organizing skills or their management skills. So they come forward and they want to be a part of such a group. And one other thing, I want to incentivize all of you taking benefit of this opportunity, that working in KISA is like the best ever well-rounded experience that you can get on campus, because there are international students in the KISA cabinet, or there are all international from different backgrounds, so you interact with them regularly on a weekly basis, twice a week. So that's a very terrific experience that you can have. And secondly, I think we need more exposure. KISA members, they need more exposure. When they're like organizing food fest, there needs to be some presence on social media, be like live coverage of the event or something like that. And when people see that they're having fun, they're this team, they're having fun, and then they go out on after parties and they celebrate successful events. When people see this kind of activities, they want to engage in. That's the way you can incentivize people to join KISA.
Yep.
Alright, first of all, I believe that now many people, as you said, actually go to KISA and want to turn up to KISA. But one thing that I would like to try in the internal management is to actually keep track of the quality